Good afternoon. I'm so glad you could join me this afternoon. And I have a really wonderful guest with me today. I have the Patty's here. She's with the Adult and Teen Challenge in Minnesota here. And could you tell me how you got involved in this organization?
Sure. About 5.5 years ago, I left a career in teaching. I had been teaching alternative school for 6 years at that time and had lost several students to addiction, the very last of which was a young man who died due to alcohol poisoning.
You've been with them now for how long? And what do you
since
do?
December, only for a few months. Yeah.
Listen.
No, I'm the communications coordinator, so I'm in charge of the website content, the newsletter, social media. Yeah, communicating what's going on inside of the organization, including
Facebook.
Annie's stories and yep, Facebook, Twitter,
YouTube, MyTube, YouTube,
Our tube.
Yes.
OurTube. Do you do all that?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Tweet, hashtag,
Yeah. It's good.
hashtagging every day, 4
Yeah.
times a day. That's what I heard. If you
Wow.
put on a video out there, put it for 2 to 4 minutes because that's as long as they're going to watch. At that most. Am I right?
Welcome back to social media tips.
Social media tips.
That's good.
But that's important to
Yes.
reach other people.
Yes. Yep.
For you to grow.
Yeah, and it's definitely social media, and I'm learning this more and more every day too. But actually, just 2 weeks ago, I discovered I was on Facebook at the same time as 18-year-old girl posted just her insecurity about her dad possibly falling back into heroin.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just like, oh my gosh, she's on right now. And
Yeah.
so I started a conversation with her.
Right.
And it was just kind of one of those cool moments where you're using Facebook for a great reason, and it's not
That was
just
great. That was good.
yeah, and that's where people are, and we want to use any means possible
That's right.
to reach out to the community
reach out
to make
to 'em.
sure
That's wonderful.
Minnesota
Good.
Adult and Teen
Smart
Challenge is known.
idea.
Yeah.
Well, you
so-
can see the work that Mark does at mntc.org.
Okay, we're gonna look. I'm gonna check you out.
And all of the information about the program that you need is available online. You can also apply to be a member of the program, to be part of the program, right there on the spot. Download an application. So if people need help, that's a great place to go. And Mark has done a great job of organizing the information there, so it's most helpful to people
That's wonderful.
that need help.
That's really great. I want to introduce you to this my wonderful guests here. This is Will, and this is Megan, and this is Chuck. Say hi, everybody. Now, Will, how about you? Tell me your story.
My
You gotta
story?
Yeah, your story. Can you tell me a
Well,
story?
My personal story?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my name is Will. I'm 22 years old, and I grew up in a pretty good home. My
Good.
mom was a teacher. My dad was a police officer.
Oh,
So
cool.
growing up, I knew
Right from
right
wrong.
from wrong.
Right away.
Yeah, I heard just say no. I heard don't do drugs.
Yeah.
But when it came down to time to do drugs, I was put in a situation, and I felt like I had a lot of good reasons to say yes.
Yeah, that's peer pressure.
Yeah, well, peer pressure and insecurities. Worried a lot about my image and
When you're young, that's what happens, I think, don't you? I think a lot
Yeah.
of us, you're sitting around with a bunch of guys and buddies and whatever parties going on, and you're
Right.
the only one going no.
well, and that's what I didn't see coming. I didn't see the parties coming. I
Yeah.
just figured, well, I'll just try drinking this wine out
Yeah.
of the cupboard, and so
Right.
13 years old, chugging wine led to
13, see?
yeah,
13?
well, yeah, it led to stealing beers, and
Yep.
and so we called that
Alcohol abuse.
garage shopping. Yeah,
Oh,
alcohol
garage
abuse.
shopping?
Yeah,
I love it.
garage shopping, car shopping. We'd steal from
Oh,
cars.
yeah, oh God.
And it just as a young kid, doing a lot of, making a lot of trouble, putting road signs in the middle of the road and things. And,
Oh, jeez.
yeah, it started off as like this fun thing, just wilding out.
Just
but
funny, yeah, everybody
But
laughing.
it turned into a real serious drug addiction. I often drank before school.
Gee, oh,
Started taking prescription pills before school, and it gave me that ability to try to feel drunk taking pills, but I didn't know that prescription pills were known as synthetic forms of harder street drugs.
Right.
Oxycontin is known as a synthetic form of heroin. can lead to heroin abuse. I
Does
didn't know
it?
that Adderall
Wow.
could be a precursor to methamphetamine abuse. And so I didn't know those things going in. And so when I started to abuse them, they became less available, and it led me to use harder drugs because meth was easier to find than Adderall at a certain point.
True.
Heroin was easier to find at a certain
Jesus,
point. And
heroin's easier to find.
at a certain point,
Woo,
yeah,
really?
the Oxycontin can be more difficult to find, and so heroin's, when you're surrounded by those types of people that do
Yep,
drugs and party,
yep.
the things get offered to you, and because of that, I got offered those.
Well, sure. And
And-
you don't want to be the only guy sitting there not doing it.
Well, and I had the desire to be messed up. I wanted to escape my reality. I wanted
Exactly.
to. I felt hopeless. I felt disconnected from my friends and family. I felt like I was on a different level
Oh, you got
emotionally than
really
other
emotionally,
people.
Yeah.
And so when I used drugs, it gave me that ability to step out of that and feel like a different
you
person.
Melted in maybe more in
Everything
your
was
mind.
everything was cool, and I just
Yeah.
wanted to feel good for the day. That was
Yeah.
my goal when I woke up. I just
Yep.
had to want to feel that sense of well-being
Yep.
for the day, and eventually it led to the point where I was physically addicted to heroin,
Oh,
and I needed it
sweetheart.
just to feel
Oh,
normal. And
No.
by
Will.
that time, I was 18 years old, and it led to a few times in jail. You know, putting my parents through a lot, putting my
no.
family through a lot, and
Oh my God, your mom and dad must have just died. Must
yeah,
have
they
just
were
felt
pretty
like they were gonna die from it.
upset.
Especially your dad being a cop.
And luckily I made it out.
Thank
and
God.
my dad is actually the one who recommended Minnesota Adult and Teen Challenge.
he?
Ended
Yeah,
up going
cool.
to Minnesota Adult and Teen Challenge, and
That is so cool, really.
and it's crazy. I was like, I don't know about this whole Minnesota Adult and Teen Challenge thing, but I went onto the website mntc.org and I checked it out, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool, and they have different programs and things.
Really? Well, what did your friends say about it? And your buddies that were doing drugs? I mean, what did they say? Oh, yeah,
They didn't
cool,
know
or
about it.
You didn't let anybody know.
Well, they didn't. My friends didn't know about Minnesota Adult and Teen Challenge.
No, but did you tell them?
Yeah, I told them I was in treatment.
Oh,
I was
good.
getting treatment for my addiction.
You
They
must have
didn't-
been
They
bad
didn't
enough.
really
that,
know.
You must have been bad enough that they probably thought that was a good thing.
Well,
you to be getting
we
help.
all knew it was a good thing, but none of us wanted to do it. So
Right.
luckily,
Luckily, you did it.
I went through it, finished it. Been sober now for 2.5 years, and
Yeah, good for you.
yeah. So Minnesota.
Holy criminy! And you were on hard drugs.
Yeah,
I mean, you were on heroin.
right.
What is with that heroin? Why does anybody want to shoot something in there? Well, I was an ex-nurse, but why would you want to shoot a needle in your arm?
Well,
Oh my God!
it gets you high faster.
Yeah, but how fast? How long does it stay?
It stays longer than if
Yeah.
you snort it or smoke
Yeah.
it. And so that's the appeal, is to be high
It's-
faster,
yeah.
and you get addicted to.
But dear, yeah, I saw gals doing heroin, and all they did was go like that, kind of laid their head over here and slobbered on the side of their mouth. That's high. If that's
Right.
high, I don't want to be there.
Right.
I mean, seriously, that's what I saw in Chicago. Some gals in the bathroom shooting up, and they just their heads laid over the side by the toilet, whatever, and slobbered, and it was just gross.
It is gross.
It really was gross. And their arms were just black and blue, and it was really, really gross. And I just can't even imagine a fine man like you, handsome as you can be, nice man, getting hooked up in that crap. Sorry to say, but that's what it is.
And it took me,
2.5 years.
well, it took me 13 months in Minnesota Adult and Teen Challenge, and now I'm able to give back and go into the schools.
Now you could talk, and you're a perfect person to go in there and talk about it. Because those guys in there are going to go, he looks like a cool guy. Maybe he's making sense. Maybe they're making sense, right?
Right.
That's the appearance you'll give.
That's
You
the
guys will
message,
give-
right.
You guys got to give that message to other people so they'll break loose of it and
That's
see
right.
maybe where they're at. God, love you. I'm so glad you got through that. Woo. To me, heroin is the worst thing that can ever happen to a person.
Yeah.
I know all the drugs, alcohol, pot. Yeah, well, pot to me, I don't know.
I think heroin's bad.
I think heroin's bad. You think pot is bad?
Well, I do. It's all about how the drug affects your life.
And
if
that's
you
what I was
can
going to
crash
say.
a car high on, if you can crash a car high on
Marijuana,
marijuana
just
and,
you can on
and
heroin.
kill yourself.
Yep, just
You
as
can-
easy.
yeah.
All of it. So anyway, God love you. I'm so glad you made it out of there,
Thanks.
and you're doing so well now. And now, Megan,
Yes.
how are you doing?
Great, thank you.
And so, what do you think about the teen challenge? Has it helped you? Your adult teen challenge? Are you an adult now?
I am an adult.
Yes, you look like you're just
for all
barely.
intents and purposes.
Yeah.
To say that this program has saved my life would probably be an understatement.
Wow.
This program has really saved me in every way that a person can be saved. I did not grow up in a Christian home. I did not have that foundation, and my mother was a Christian, and she passed away when I was very young. She had a rare form of brain cancer, and she was really young. She died in her 30s.
Wow.
And my father was a practicing alcoholic my entire childhood. So as a result, I became an overachiever and really kind of felt that God's love for me was contingent upon my performance. And so I did everything that I could to try to be perfect, and kind of felt that that would keep me safe. And I lived with a lot of fear, even as a child, fear of dying and
Really?
fear of abandonment. And
Oh, no.
that fear motivated me for a long time and really drove me to succeed. And so I did that, and I was successful in school. I went away to college and was very successful there, and started working in the corporate world. And all the while, there was just kind of this emptiness inside of me. And I started drinking in college, and it was socially acceptable, so I really didn't see any harm in it.
No.
And it was the first time I could remember really taking a break and, not having that fear. It was really debilitating for me, and it allowed me to relax. And so as I got older and started working in the corporate world, I did corporate event planning, and drinking was a prevalent part of that occupation.
Oh, yeah, corporate planning.
Yes,
Yeah.
so,
Parties.
and, for the most part, I drank socially. Up until, a certain point, my best friend ended up passing away from cancer. And she was in her 20s. And for me, I kind of somewhere in the back of my mind thought that that was to be my fate. So when she died, a part of me died and just really
Were you
broke.
a hypochondriac, basically?
No, I wasn't
In
a
other words, all these
hypochondriac.
things
No, I wasn't.
You thought that was going to
Mainly,
happen to you because it happened to other people?
no, it was mainly because of my mom's cancer. I think that I had a hard time
Oh, from
picturing my
childhood.
life past the age that she lived.
Oh,
So I
yes.
never really had a desire to get married or have children, for fear of leaving my family the way that my mom had left me.
Yeah, that would be awful.
So when my best friend passed away, I really started drinking more as a way to just kind of escape, and I wasn't sure how to deal with it. And slowly my spirit just kind of dwindled. And I had my best friend since kindergarten back in Minnesota, and she had been praying. She knew about Minnesota Adult and Teen Challenge, and her family was kind of like my second family. They were really strong Christians when I was growing up, and I always
good.
desired that, but I didn't know how to get it, where to start. And the older I got, I almost felt inferior for not knowing. And so
Not knowing God or what?
right,
Yeah,
and
okay.
not having that foundation, and
That base.
feeling that God was kind of a distant God, and and that's kind of the relationship that I had with my dad. I felt responsible always to take care of myself and take care of him.
Oh, yeah.
And so I never really
you
had
were-
that dependence on anybody, including a parent. So I didn't, think that that was possible. But